the approach we're going to run through today is something that I've used to great success, and so has Rob. I actually qualified feeder masters, Rob, here at Barston, fishing in this style that I'm going to demonstrate today. And it's about peg management when it comes to feeding, because this isn't just going to be a video where I go, right, first thing you do, you fill your bait out feeder, crash it in, and chuck your method over the top. This is going to be about when, where, why, and how much you use additional feed onto a method feeder. So, couple of 2-3 years ago, when obviously we were well going with all these feeder type matches, we had a conversation. How do you stand out when you're chucking a method feeder?
Well, I'm going to bring you back to that, because do you remember the first ever Super League match we had at Barston?
Yeah.
Myself, Phil Ringer, Jeff Ringer was in our team at that time,
yeah.
Steve Ringer. We had an amazing score, didn't we? I think we had 5 points.
Yeah, really good.
5 points. The best we could have done was 4 points. And the method that you're going to talk about today was a slightly cruder version back then, because obviously it's been refined and you've added your own little take on it as well. It's been refined even further. But we were standing out. We made our feeder fishing stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
And what you're going to talk about today is the next step on the refined version of that.
It is, because if you're just going to go to your local fishery and chuck a method feeder in, you're going to be the same as everybody else. Now, there's been enough content out there to show everybody how to load a method feeder, and although you're not going to get it right every time, the essentials are pretty straightforward. So if you get those things right, you'll catch some fish. How do we push that on? So that's what I'm going to focus on today. I want to run you through where, when, why, etc., bait and tackle. But first, I want to talk about the sort of day and the sort of place where this is going to work. So at Barston, Rob, it's a big lake, isn't it? For me, this tactic is more applicable to bigger types of water.
Yeah, your Larford Specie Lake.
Yeah, anywhere where you've
Boddington,
got...
maybe.
Yeah, but even a Woodlands Thirsk that is an open lake, what I'm saying is it's not 18-metre island chuck kind of thing.
I get it.
Because effectively, on those sort of pegs, you tend to be drawing fish the same. It's anywhere where you're trying to draw fish in.
You've not got a particular holding area. If I had an island to chuck to, that's going to be the holding area. Yeah. That's going to be the natural draw. But when you're trying to create your own area, this is going to be the method.
And one of the mistakes that people make when they start doing this is they go, right, yeah, that's it. Lee and Rob say we've got to put some bait in. Yeah, that's great, but it's about timings and it's about location. So you have to look at your peg, you have to look at where you're going fishing, you have to look at the venue and say, where am I going to do this? So I just mentioned Woodlands at Thirsk, and I love that as an example because you've only got about 20 metres to the middle. There, I'd be doing this method really short, 5, 6, 7 metres.
Okay.
I'd be bossing my short line to try and draw the fish in. But here at Barston, I might be doing it at, say, 20 metres. You know, that pellet waggler line where people put the bait in. But then again today, I look out here today, the wind's off our back, right? The ripple on the water is, I'm going to say, from 20 metres onwards.
If you love your fishing, and more importantly, you want to catch more fish, why don't you head over to the Edge website? The website address is www.anglingedge.co.uk. There you will find a massive library of coaching style videos. There's something for everyone, whether that's short range pole fishing or long range feeder fishing. It's covered in massive detail. Lee and I go into such detail about every aspect of every style of fishing. You know, I think there's no stone left unturned, and that's without including the amazing underwater footage. So we've been out with the underwater cameras, we've got loads of content on there now showing fish feeding under the water. We're showing how they react to different feeding styles, different feeders, different pole rigs, different ways of loose feeding. It shows you how these fish react in a fishing situation.
He sucked the hook bait in. I think Rob's got him. I think Rob's...
So if you're not already a member, it's well worth a look.
Gonna line up with a far bank tree, give that a chuck out.
Nice.
Yeah, give it a couple of shakes. Happy with that. Right on the money that was, to be fair. That's why you've got like an extra bit of lead on there, because obviously you need that extra tiny bit of weight.
Control, yeah.
So, you know, you need some control.
Just to obviously put people into the picture, we're having a little bit of a gamble here because we think this could work. This is literally first trick on this line. We're going to see what happens because we want to run through everything real time with you and show the thought processes that Lee's going to go through when he's fishing this line.
Absolutely. There's no bait out there at the moment. There's just the bait in the you know, we've just been fishing roughly at sort of 45, 50.
You can see the oil come off that feeder full already.
Yeah,
mate.
absolutely,
I know
mate.
you're not really that bothered about the oil, but I think it's a great fish attractor, that.
Nice shake, and because I've got the braid direct, you actually feel the bait come out straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can feel it like ping out of the feeder. So that's what's so important. You don't want your bait not to come out. And because those two were good, I was quite happy with the accuracy there. I'm happy that the bait has come out where I want to fish. That's the most important thing. If I'd have been a little bit inaccurate, Rob, I'd have probably put a third one in, you know, just to put that extra bit of bait in the pen.
Okay, it's take-off time at the airport, isn't it?
Certainly is. So I've actually got a lot of paler yellow one on. I'm going to start with this sort of paler colour yellow. These are some white ones that I just put a bit of Power Scopex on about 2 years ago that I mix in with my yellow. So I have like some paler ones and some stronger ones. I'm just going to put the paler one on to start with.
When we're out there, Lee, and we're sitting there waiting for a bite, I want to talk to you about colours for hook baits, because I think it's quite important, and obviously everyone's got their own preference, and it's important to get people's thinking behind that.
Yeah, I think that is important, mate, because I think that, you know, that's an important chat to have. Still only got the 30 gram feeder on. I did tell you that this rod, I can, you know, 50, 55 if conditions are right. Well, conditions are absolutely amazing, to be fair. Wind's off my back, so shouldn't be a problem getting to that distance. Yeah, lovely. I pop that down. It's obviously really shallow out there, Rob, so I am just gonna start the stopwatch, and I am gonna take my time to sink that line.
Yeah, obviously if it goes, you'll know about it, won't you?
Oh, if it goes, you effectively feel the hand pull, you know, feel the line pull tight in your hand.
So all you've done then is you've decided on that distance.
Yeah.
You've got your measuring sticks behind you here, and you've just whipped it around the measuring sticks. Decided both rods clipped up at 54.
Yeah.
And well, say this rod that you've got in your hand is 55, isn't it?
55.
Just to obviously either go. You don't want to be short, do you? Of your
The
feet.
problem is, Rob, when you're chucking this distance with mono, there's a little bit of stretch in your line. You might get a little bit of bounce back. You're trying to get your rod on the rest. When you chuck the baiting feeder, you've got a 50 gram float. Sorry, a 50 gram feeder full of bait and braid. So literally, your rod goes ding, like it all straightens. It's all dead straight. Even like I always give it a bit of air when I chuck it, just to make sure it gets there nicely.
You got one?
I don't believe that. I got one. That's unbelievable.
Well, I'll tell you what that does. We've just spent an hour and a half casting
For one.
single method feeders around. We've put some bait in,
Yeah.
and it just shows what we're talking about, as in the power of bait at this time of year. Because
Wow. Yeah.
it's obviously you couldn't have you couldn't have wrote it any better to show the power of what we're doing.
Well, we've had, like I said, we had a carp after about 20 minutes when we went long, and then another little skimmer, but we were both almost like, wow, this is going to be a really tough day. It's not the fish are clearly on the other bank. They're not on our bank today. And that's why, I mean, it is, like you said, it's the perfect demo, isn't it?
Does it feel like a carp?
I think it's a carp or an F1, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it's a carp or an F1. I'm not sure what, but it's not a little fish, you know. I don't think it is, anyway. Oh,
Lovely,
yeah, little
one of them
carp.
lovely new little carp he's put in,
ghosty
yeah.
carp. Yeah, yeah. Look at that.
Spotted.
That's a nice
Brilliant.
one, isn't it? Let's move my land net handle so this gentleman can get past. Look at that. That you don't see many like that. That's an absolutely amazing looking fish. You know, 3.5 pounds, something like that, Rob.
Yeah, beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful in the bottom lip.
Pellets still in the feeder as well.
Yeah, an odd
know you
pellet.
like
Look,
that.
yeah, an odd look. My odd pellet still in the feeder. Now, this is decision time, right? So for me,